Hi, and welcome to Mondays with Marlo. Well, you've all been writing in about your weddings. It's April, so we've got spring, we've got summer weddings. So, of course, we brought you the top wedding expert, Colin Cowie, to answer your questions. We've got a lot of very excited brides here.
And I'm fully loaded and ready.
I'm so glad. They want to do it right, and they want to do it on a budget. So I know you know how to do that.
It's kind of the whole world right now wants to do everything on a budget.
That's right.
Absolutely. It forces us to be more creative.
Good. Well, and you certainly are creative, Colin. That we know. So this is from Phyllis. Do you have any tips for a stress-free wedding? Our community loves tips, by the way. So any tips you have for a stress-free wedding?
A tip a minute. I think, the idea of having a stress-free wedding is to really be organized. And you should definitely find a professional to help you. Mm-hmm. If you are sick, you go to the doctor. If your dog's sick, you go to the vet. You're going to plan the single biggest event of your life, get someone to help you. Right. And you can get people from all different walks of life. I mean, it can be someone who helps you with the entire process, or someone who helps you the day of, who's got good organizational skills so that you can concentrate on being not only the bride, but the quintessential host.
Okay, so the tips are be organized.
Be organized and get someone to help you who's got good organizational skills the day of.
Right, and also you said something before we started, which was be welcoming.
I think, many brides think they've come to me, they said to me, I came to you because I want the perfect wedding. And the first person said, I don't do perfect. And I think the most important thing is not about impressing your guests. You impress your guests naturally when you make them feel very welcome and comfortable. That's the most important thing. I think in life, don't go for perfection. Your best is more than good enough.
That's so great. Good for you. This is from Jenny. She's right in there. Hi, Jenny. What is the most important thing that people seem to forget when planning a wedding?
I think for me, one of the most important things is timing. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the flowers and the food and the cars and everything else, they all cost money. But the most single important aspect of any wedding is what brings it production value. There's nothing worse. We've been to all those weddings where the bride kept you waiting for an hour.
Right.
Okay. Or the cocktail reception went on for an hour and 35 minutes.
Right.
And you sit at the dining table and you've been there for 4 hours before the sign of a cake.
Right.
So you go home feeling tired, bored, and drunk.
Right.
Okay. I make a pact with every bride that we start the ceremony within 15 minutes of the printed invitation time. Uh-huh. I do the cocktail reception in 45 minutes because by the time you move guests to the reception, it's an hour.
Right.
I like to serve dinner in an hour and a half without the speeches, and then do the dancing. And I find that if you keep it moving like that, your guests will really have a great time because you take them on a carefully thought out beginning, middle, and an end. So you take them on a journey.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So if you look at your watch, you've lost them.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. So timing is the
most important aspect of it.
This is from Martin.
Let me just finish that real quickly because make sure you have a schedule of events, which is a minute by minute rundown of your wedding, starting with the time that before the guest arrives to the last guest leaves. And that way, the caterer and the mixologist and the priest and the baker and the head service and the waiters and the musicians are all on the same page, working towards one goal.
Right, you've all got one lineup.
Run of show.
Wonderful, run of show. This is from Martin. What was the biggest wedding disaster you've ever seen?
Oh, God, we need a 5-hour show for that. The biggest wedding disaster that I've ever seen. Let's say one that never happened to me. I'm saying, God, this was not my wedding, but I did see it. A bride and groom wanted to have a pigeons released when they said that that you are now officially husband and wife.
Oh, God, I didn't want to hear this.
And they opened the thing for the pigeons to fly away, and because of the heat, they all died, and they had dead pigeons all over them. Can you believe that?
No, it's horrible.
I think it's easy to use butterflies in that instance. But one of my worst disasters, once the wedding cake was delivered, and it wasn't done, it was actually on the Cary Grant estate for Jennifer Grant's wedding, and in Beverly Hills. And the cake was supposed to be served down at the pool where the tent was, and they delivered the cake to the kitchen. And it wasn't on the proper board, and we tried to move the cake, and the whole wedding cake fell over completely.
No.
So there I was, went to a local store, and I kind of bought Sara Lee pound cakes, and I put them together again. I put icing all over the cake, and I took all the flowers from the ceremony arbor, and I covered it in flowers. I took out the cake, dimmed the lights, the bride looked at the cake, I said, I'll tell you later.
That's funny. Don't eat the flowers. Yeah. This is from Harriet. Hi, Colin. What is your new website? What is it offering? I love all that you do.
So ColinCowieWeddings.com is an incredibly well-edited and curated site where we bring the bride trend and style in a very uncluttered, very clean way. I put together a phenomenal group of editors and fashion editors, beauty editors. So we really get the best information for you.
It looks beautiful.
And we bring this to you on the site in a very clean, easy to navigate way. And we have an amazing tool called My Collection, which allows you to scrape anything off the internet, tag phone anything with your mobile app, and we keep everything very well organized for you. And it also has a social media inside, which allows you to share information with your bridesmaids, your mother, your stepmother, however it might be. But you, unlike Facebook, you get to choose who you want to share the information with. It's not out there for the whole world to see.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
A little privacy.
This is interesting. This is from Missy. I'm not really a flowers person. Is there any other ideas for centerpieces for a wedding? It's an evening wedding in a tent. She doesn't want flowers.
Absolutely. I think there's so many things to do. I love the idea of working with candlescapes, and if you are in a tent, you might want to use like a mirrored surface and then maybe use votive candles in little glass cups, use pillar candles, use candles in glass holders, and do a whole cornucopia of candles. You can't do it. It's a very beautiful way to do it.
And especially on a mirror, because it all reflects.
Exactly, it all
It's
reflects. And the other thing that I like to do, other than just using candles, is to work with fruit. I think bowls of fruit are really beautiful,
Yeah.
particularly if you mix like blackberries and Japanese eggplant together with limes, can give you a very beautiful graphic look as well.
Very pretty, very pretty. This is from Trudy. Do you have any tips for how to have a wedding on a budget? This is big.
Absolutely, Trudy. First of all, you have to think that most weddings take place on a Saturday. There's only 52 Saturdays in a year, so they're really, that is the day when all your top quality vendors are invariably booked and charging a premium. So let's first think of a different date. If you were to do on a Friday or a Thursday or do a Sunday morning reception, you're going to get better vendors and be able to negotiate a much better price.
Oh, that's interesting.
Also, today's DJs are tomorrow's rock stars. So rather than working with a live band, work with a DJ. And the big trend we're seeing there today is when the DJ works with a rock violinist or a percussionist or a saxophonist to come and add one or two more elements to it. Instead of doing the sit-down dinner, you could possibly think of having maybe a cocktail party or doing a reception where you've got small stations of food. This way you don't have to do seating for everyone.
Yeah,
You can do
that's
kind of
great.
like more lounge environment.
Yeah, that's great.
If you do a brunch in the morning on a Sunday, you don't have to necessarily end up spending money on lighting and the big dance floor and all the other things.
Right, right.
Absolutely. Instead of doing the big wedding cake, perhaps you do cupcakes, or maybe do a big croquembouche, something along those lines.
I've been to a Sunday wedding and I loved
It's fun, absolutely.
Yeah,
or a
really
Thursday night cocktail party
Yes.
can be just as chic.
Yeah, very lovely. Oh, that's such good advice. This is a Detroit bride. When paying for a wedding, what is something I can get away with not spending too much money on? So would that be like the flowers or the...
The first thing is probably the dress.
Never.
It's interesting.
I'm not going to save money on the
It's
dress.
interesting. On my site, we have a whole section called Lux for Less, which kind of, we show you like expensive dresses and then
Right.
dresses next with the same silhouette for
Right.
a tenth of the price.
Yes.
But I think, instead of spending money on a big band, you can use the DJ. And instead of using big round tables for that require large centerpieces, use smaller tables. I love that idea as well. I love the idea of creating a lounge environment instead of doing assigned seating for everyone as well,
Right.
which is also kind of much more fun and a bit more young.
Right. I like that tasting too idea that you were talking
Well, the
about.
tasting idea, instead of, I'm not a big fan of buffets because when you have this long line of food,
Right.
and you've got the fish and the meat in the same buffet,
I
and then
know.
everyone puts as much food in their plate thinking that there's not going to be any more next time they come around, and it brings what I call out the vulture syndrome in everyone. So, and then you end up with, you might as well put it in a Cuisinart and you put a tube down your
That's
throat.
right.
So I think the chic way to do that is set up like 4 or 5 stations.
like that.
So you can have a meat and you can do a series of red wines that go with it. And you can pair maybe a vegetable station with a Sauvignon Blanc, or you might want to do smoked salmon and frozen vodka.
Right.
So, but I think make food stations that are kind of experiences and
Right.
kind of fun.
Very
That way
nice.
you're serving a smaller plate and you're encouraging your guests to go and have these different experiences
Right,
versus
right.
having one shot.
And also that long line.
No,
is
you should
horrible.
never stand in lines.
No. This is from Jana. What are 3 common traps to look out for when planning a wedding? 3 common traps.
Okay, the first one I'm going to say again, don't go for perfect. Your best in life is more than good enough. Don't think, secondly, that you have to impress your guests. More important to make them feel welcome and to make them feel comfortable. And thirdly, be prepared for the fact that something might go wrong. Okay, and if something does go wrong at your wedding, let's not lose sight of the fact that this is a celebration of love. No one's going to criticize you, point fingers at you if something doesn't happen on
Right.
time or on cue.
That's right. That's great. This is from Sparrow77. Hello, Sparrow. I'm getting married in September and I'm getting lots of conflicting advice from family and friends. Can you just give me 3 simple do's and 3 simple don'ts to keep in mind?
Sparrow, this is all 100% categorically, totally, utterly all about you. So forget what your well-meaning mother's saying, because she's already had a wedding and she's already been down the aisle. Your wedding is not just another big party. It's your opportunity to make a statement of style to your family and friends, to tell them who you are and who you are now as a joint couple together.
Right, right.
So I think that listen to what you want to do and close out all the clutter, because this is all about you.
That's great. This is from Fiona. I'm getting married this summer, and I want my wedding to be very simple in my parents' backyard. We don't have much money. But what are some simple things I can do to make it elegant? So it's in the parents' backyard.
You know, first of all, let's say that style's got nothing to do with money. It's not about how much money we spend. I think it's about how we spend it, and how smart we are. I love the idea of maybe doing one long single table in the backyard and serving your meal family style with using family recipes. So instead of doing a lot of money on expensive centerpieces, you have lovely bowls of pasta and roasted chicken and asparagus paste all the way down the table. And in between that, you can do lovely terracotta plants that are planted with basil and rosemary and fresh herbs. So you kind of have that lovely Tuscan experience. And instead of spending a lot of money with service, have big magnum bottles of red wine down the table, bottles of olive oil. So it kind of gives us a lovely Tuscan backyard feeling, and top that off with a beautiful wedding cake.
And it's about family.
It's all
in your
about the family,
backyard,
absolutely.
So it's a family
and
thing.
I think it's the most personal thing to do, is to be able to have your wedding in your backyard.
Absolutely. Oh, I love the idea of a Tuscan.
Yeah, one long serve family style. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, great. This is Trudy. Any tips for ensuring that the bride and the bridesmaids are on time for the big day? Anything to do beforehand, the day before, or something to make sure that it's an on time? You talked about this earlier. There's nothing worse than sitting and waiting for the bride to arrive.
You know, so many people think that it's all about the bride and all about the groom, and the focus of attention is upon them. Yes, it is, but I take it one step further and say, you've invited 100+ people who've arrived on time.
Right.
As the host and hostess, you know, this is your first statement of style. At a minimum, you should be on time.
Right.
You know, and I think as far as brides and bridesmaids are concerned, for me, the one that always causes the problem with this is hair and makeup. You need to tell hair and makeup, okay, you need to tell hair and makeup that you're going to be finished a half an hour before.
Right.
But there's nothing worse than walking in there and the bride's half done and the guests are sitting waiting because the makeup artist is taking her time.
Right.
Any smart hair person, any qualified makeup artist can get you done on time.
Absolutely. That happens to be a problem in show business too. It's not just
This is
about
true.
weddings. This is from Valerie.
The difference is with show business, you've got take two. With a wedding, it's like live television.
That's right. Valerie, can you offer some tips for spring cleaning? Oh, are you into this as well?
Very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a very daunting task. My house has 3 bedrooms, a dining room, living room and kitchen, and there's a lot of clutter. Help.
Okay, first of all, great style comes from ruthless editing. Okay, if you haven't worn it in the last year, the chances are you're not going to wear it next year. Give it to someone who needs it more than you do. Go through your closet. So that's the best part of spring cleaning. It's not just about cleaning, but getting rid of things.
Right.
So, and you know, I think we live in a country where we're the world's greatest consumers.
Right.
We get so much stuff. Yeah? And you know, it can be very daunting. So just give yourself, I see you've got several rooms, do 1 room a week. You know, and set yourself the task and do it over a period of a month. And you can go and make sure that at the end of this month, your room is looking, your house is looking exactly like you want it to look.
Clutter's
don't be careful. Don't be scared when it comes to getting rid of things.
This is from Nikki. What's the most outrageous theme you ever created for a wedding?
I didn't. I'm really not big on, you know, when people ask me to do that crazy stuff, you know, in scuba gear, go find somebody else. It's not my cup of tea.
A scuba gear wedding? Yeah. This is from Doreen. I wasn't able to afford a wedding where everyone brings a +1, but a friend asked me if she could bring a guest who I don't know, even though the invitation was just addressed to her. How do I politely say no?
I love this question.
Do you?
Yes. I think you call her and say, you know, as much as I'd love you to bring a friend with you, this is my wedding, and I really don't want to be meeting new friends that day. You're a very important person in my life, and I'd be so grateful to have you with me.
Oh, that's
And that's
good.
true. You know, I just recently celebrated a big birthday, and I had all these friends wanting to bring friends with them, and I said, you know, this is my greatest hits, not my latest hits.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful way to say it. Yeah. People do that to me with dinner parties all the time. And sometimes they say, may I bring 2 of my friends? And I said, no.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
That's one of the biggest problems we have in this country is people don't understand what it means to RSVP. When you send out an invitation, RSVP means you know to respond, to respond as soon as possible, so that you as the host can plan accordingly.
Right.
When people wait till the 99th hour to RSVP. All of a sudden, it's extra tables and chairs. We need more food, more waiters, more
Right.
service. It's just so incredibly inconsiderate.
Yes, it is. It is. I like it when it says must respond by.
By,
You know, then you know what your problems are. Okay, Bridget, I want my wedding to be about me and my groom. How can I prevent both sides of the family from making it about them when it's supposed to be about my marriage? Well, you know how they
Darling,
argue.
as I said it, it's all about you, you know, and you tell your well-meaning mother that she's had her wedding, this is your opportunity.
Right.
And I think, you know, you might say to your sister-in-law, you know, who's very well-meaning as well, I really like your idea, but this is what we want to do. This is our opportunity. And, you know, a great thing here is for both of you to stand up for one another. Because if you don't deal with this now, this is going to haunt you for the rest of your life in your marriage. So it's, you know, for the groom to go to his family and say, we want to do it our way, and for you to go to your family and say, we want to do it our way, and I think that way you set the boundaries for your life ahead.
You really do. That's a good test for both of you. Marcy, why do you love planning weddings?
Because they're happy occasions, and I get paid well to spend other people's money making other people happy. There's no downside.
That's right. That's a great explanation. This is from Patty Fortney. Planning a September wedding. The bride and groom live out of town, so me and the dad are doing everything. Is the late night snack a have-to-do thing? Seems everyone plans something to snack on late in the evening.
If you're having a good party and you had a delicious dinner and you've now had 1.5, 2 hours of dancing and the dance floor is still full, everybody wants a grilled cheese sandwich,
Right.
or a mini slider, or a little croissant sandwich.
Right.
Or the French, what they do is they give you small little onion soups.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it takes away the hangover. And don't forget to drink lots of water and 2 aspirins before you go to bed.
And before you go to the wedding,
Yeah.
I have water before I go out so that it fills me up. Richard Guthrie wants to know, what's wrong or right with a Vegas wedding?
There's nothing wrong with it.
You like it?
I think, the whole idea of your wedding is your expression of style. So if you're drawn to Vegas, then you should do Vegas. But I'm not going to sit here and judge whether Vegas is right or whether Vegas is wrong. It's all about you and who you want to impress your guests with and how you want to do it.
Did you ever do one in Vegas?
I've done a wedding in Vegas,
Yep.
but I called it was actually off the strip, so I called it a country wedding in Nevada.
Aren't you clever? This is from Jenna. How do you politely decline being in someone's bridal party? She's not that close of a friend, and I just don't have the money.
Tell her you're going to be out of town that weekend, or just tell her that, you're
Well, then you can't go to the wedding.
Well, then just say to her that you're really under a lot of pressure right now. As much as you'd love to be a bridesmaid, you really can't take on any responsibilities, but you're really grateful that she asked you in the first place.
Right. So you still want to go to the wedding. Yeah. This is from Bettina.
Well, she doesn't have that much money. What about the wedding gift?
Oh, there's that.
Yeah.
Bettina, I'm having a dinner party for 6 colleagues. Any tips for making it memorable and different? I've never had a dinner party before. Oh, my goodness. I haven't even decided what I'm serving yet, and the dinner party's in 2 weeks. Oh, we better hurry.
So, Bettina,
Help.
this is one of my favorite questions. There are 3 reasons why people don't entertain. They think it's going to cost too much money, or it's going to take too much time, or they don't have the ability to do so. So a lot of people end up looking through cooking magazines and want to make this recipe and this recipe and this recipe, not realizing that they've just locked themselves in the kitchen for the next 4.5 hours or days.
Right.
So when you're having a dinner party, just realize that today's savvy entertainer is a resourceful entertainer. It's not about chopping, slicing, dicing, peeling, and doing everything yourself. You get no medals for that. So if you love to cook 1 or 2 dishes, but you might want to supplement it with a store-bought dessert or pre-washed salad that you could put maybe a crouton of cheese on or something and dress it up that way. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you set your table the night before, choose your wines the night before, figure your seating plan the night before, make sure the music's playing when the guests arrive, candles are light, and then you want to make sure that your menu allows you to be glued to the dining room chair, not chained to the kitchen stove.
Right. That's hard to do, though, if you don't have any help.
No, not at all. So think about this. What if you make an incredible soup? Okay, that's your first course. And then you're going to do salads for the second course and then the main course. So for the soup, what I would do, I'd bring out the soup bowls, take your hot soup and put it in a coffee pourer. Okay, and pour it around the table, pass that around.
Right.
That way you're getting hot soup. You don't have the soup sliding all over the place.
Right.
Very easy to do.
Very good.
You could even put it in a coffee thermos or a carafe if you wanted to do it beforehand.
Right.
Salads. Bake the salad, 6 or 8 of them, however many you're serving. Put them on a tray in the refrigerator. Take the tray out and bring it directly to the table and serve.
Right.
Okay. And then for your main course, do like a one-pot, one-shot wonder, a fabulous chicken casserole or a wonderful lasagna or something that comes from the oven directly to the table.
Right.
And do a great store-bought
You've
dessert.
done this before.
5 nights a week.
You're good. All right, we gave you something here. Okay, this is from Abia. Is there any way to suggest gently to the bride that her choice of bridesmaids' dresses are hideous, or do you just need to grin and bear it?
First of all, I think someone should take the bride aside and say, you know, if you wouldn't walk down the aisle in that dress, you shouldn't expect me to wear that dress. And let's be real, if Princess Diana doesn't look good in puffy sleeves, the chances are you're not going to good look in puffy sleeves.
That's right. This is from Kara. Can you suggest some fun bachelorette party destinations other than Vegas or Atlantic City?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, first of all, find out what the bride's activities are. I mean, she might be a museum buff, she might be a hiking buff. So rather, instead of using those destinations, why don't you figure out fun places you could go to? If you're in a warm weather climate, you're in a cold weather climate, go to Miami Beach for the week and you can have just as much fun there.
Right.
You've got beautiful beach and sand there as well.
Right.
So I think kind of build it around what the bride's interests are, which are not necessarily Las Vegas or Atlantic City.
Right. Yes, and like if she likes water sports or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we've answered this question. My mother-in-law is a control freak. She wants to come with me to search for wedding dresses, and I do not want her there. How can I tell her this without hurting her feelings?
Okay, if you don't set the parameters now with your mother-in-law, she's going to become a bad mother-in-law because the resentment is going to build. And you should say, you know what, I'm welcome for you to come to the second or the third fitting when I've selected my dress, but this is something that I want to do on my own. This is really important to me. I've been dreaming about this since I was a little girl. This is my moment. And you should do the same thing when it comes to your tables and anything else. You should have the ability to do that first, and when you're happy with it, then you can invite her to share and to come and have a look, because at that stage you've already made up your mind.
Right.
And this is what's going to serve you very well in your marriage. Otherwise, she's going to be telling you how to live with her son.
That's right. You're so right. You know, that's very good. Get it all planned and then
Right,
show
start
it.
right now, absolutely. Mother,
that.
this is how it's going to be.
That's right. Yeah. This is from Jessica. My fiance's family is very conservative. They want me to have my shoulders covered during the wedding ceremony. The wedding dress that I love is a halter top. What do I do to solve this?
Brilliant idea. If you've got a halter top, get the same fabric and make a shrug out of it. So a little shrug you do, and you can, which is really beautiful. It'll look very beautiful from behind as well. Keeps the shoulders covered.
Right.
And you take that off at the cocktail reception. You get the beautiful, sexy halter neck which you're looking for. Or the other thing you could do, if you did the same thing for yourself, and you have strapless for your bridesmaids, you might want to give your bridesmaids each a pashmina. They can tie pashmina over their shoulders for the ceremony.
Right. Very nice. Oh, I don't know if you're going to answer this. This is from Steve. Who was your toughest celebrity client? You're probably too diplomatic for that.
I'm not going to mention that, but there's a reason I live in New York and I don't live in Hollywood anymore.
Miss Piggy and Kermit. This is from Seema. What do you find is the most difficult part of planning events for celebrities?
That's why I moved from Los Angeles to New York. Because first of all, most celebrities want it for free. Their time is more important and they pay very late.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So, and also, you know, the privacy thing is a big thing. So, you know, not to take the question lightly, I think whenever you do work with a celebrity, because celebrity material is fodder for, it sells magazines, it sells a lot of things today. So the idea of really keeping the wedding as private as possible is one of the most important things.
Right.
So we always apply, when we do celebrity work, I always add, we never use their real names, so we give fictitious names.
Right,
and not even the chef knows who's cooking for till the bride's walking down the aisle, literally.
That's the way we got married. We got married in my parents' house, and my mother told the florist that we were having a dignitary for dinner, and my father told everybody, the photographer didn't know, the band didn't know. They were so shocked when we came out. This is from Tally. What made you decide to go into event planning, and what do you enjoy most about your job? Well, you said you like making people happy. You kind of...
Yeah, I love to watch things happen in front of me. And you know, it's so beautiful, because when you create an event, you have a blank canvas.
Yes.
You know, particularly if you have a tent, you're in a field, so you know, you've got a pen and pencil in your hand, you start to draw.
Right.
And for me, it's just the most incredible way to express myself, and also to kind of be the conduit or the channel for expressing my client's point of view. So I'm a really, really good listener, and I take all their ideas and then turn it into a well thought out story and tell the story for them.
Now, this is from Barbara. You may have answered this idea, because what you've said so strongly today that I think is really helpful to a lot of people, which is, it's about you.
Yeah.
And you should make the decisions, and you should make it clear that these are your decisions and this is your dream day.
Absolutely. Let's not let etiquette books tell us what we can or what we can't do,
Right.
or where the knife and where the fork have got to go.
Right.
As long as you're not offending anyone, as long as you're doing things in good taste, go ahead and express yourself, because this is your opportunity. So whether it's the food, the flowers, whatever you smell, touch, taste, feel, or hear, these are beautiful elements that you get to enhance and use to put your personality in to be able to communicate what you're about.
Because what Barbara's asking is, my husband and I like the idea of something quirky and special for our invitation, but we think a lot of our parents' friends would think it wasn't right. Should we do it anyway?
I think, if you can give something your edge, obviously, and make it personally shine through and do it tastefully as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be catch. Just come up with a real good idea.
Yeah. This is from Selena. How much is too much to spend on a wedding videography? I've seen some professional-looking videos made, but at a very high cost. Is it worth
It's
it?
kind of anywhere from the guy with the handheld to Steven Spielberg.
Right,
Let's be
yes,
real,
right.
You can pick any in between.
Right.
But just shop around until you find the right product at the right price. There are so many vendors. When you go out there and Google videographers in your hometown, trust me, you'll find at least 20 different people that you can work with at different price points.
This is an interesting one. I'm planning a baby shower. Hi, Jackie. I'm planning a baby shower for a friend who doesn't want any of the usual games or cheesy activities. She wants it to be more adult-based, and she doesn't want kids at the party. Any tips on what to do?
Make it a cocktail party and invite the men to come as well, and you'll have a great time.
That's right, and no kids.
Yeah.
This is from Tom 20. Do you do a lot of gay weddings? How are they different, if at all?
There's really no difference. In fact, when we launched ColinCowieWeddings.com, I did it on the top of the Empire State Building. We did 4 weddings that day.
Oh, my.
And the first 2 weddings were same-sex weddings. And it's interesting because we had everybody send in a 1.5-minute video on why they deserve to get an all-expenses Colin Cowie wedding at the Empire State Building. Dame Prignon, gowns, De Beers, jewels, the full 9 yards.
Wow.
And a few couples actually sent in their videos, and we put this out on Facebook, and let Facebook choose who deserve these weddings. And there's an adorable young couple from Alaska, and two girls and 2 guys from Connecticut. And I mean, the only difference is that you've got 2 guys and 2 girls standing at the top of the aisle. I mean,
Right.
You go through the same motions.
Right. Yeah. What do you do? This is from Darlene. What do you do when you have a client who's asking for something really tacky? Do you always give the customer what they want, or do you put your foot down?
I think, usually if someone has a really bad idea, I will take them aside, not in front of other people, and say, I don't think that this is going to look good in front of your other guests. You might want to reconsider doing it this way, or different color, or toning it down, or maybe taking that activity and using it in the Sunday brunch, or maybe using it in the Friday night rehearsal dinner. And that way, each moment gets its moment.
Right. That's a good idea. This is from Liz B. Hi, Colin. What are some tips for finding the best DJ for our wedding? There are so many out there now, it's hard to sift the professionals from the iPod DJs.
I think that, first of all, you ask for recommendations, and then ask someone to send you a couple of CDs of what they've made or what they mix. And a good DJ will sit down with you and listen to what are your favorite songs you want to hear, what is it you don't want to hear. You might want to start off the evening with classics and then go to standards and then do some top 40. You might want to do a 70s set. Right. A good DJ should be able to do this for you. And make sure you go to and listen to the DJ perform at maybe 1 or 2 other events, but give you some CDs.
Yeah.
And one of the big trendy things with DJs today is taking a DJ and adding to that either a rock violinist, electric violinist who plays together with him, or a saxophonist, or a percussionist. Because
they play along to the music?
With the DJ, yes. It can add a really fun element to it. Yeah,
that's a great idea. Well, we are out of time. That went fast.
It really
did. We answered just about everything. Thank you, Colin.
Pleasure. Thank you, Marla. I'm glad we enjoyed it today.
I hope you got a lot of your questions answered, and if you didn't, they can reach you at...
There's a question and answer section on ColinCowieWeddings.com. I'll happily answer your questions.
See there? You're going to have everything you need. See you next week.